In this quick tip video, we're going to disassemble and reassemble a Leonardo Officina Italiana Momento Zero Grande Pura fountain pen. Let's get to it. So unscrew the cap, and what you may want to do is consider, what do you want to disassemble it for? Are we experiencing ink that's all the way inside the barrel here, or maybe some ink that got behind the piston, or is it that you just need a thorough clean, or that you may be experiencing a little bit of some flow issues through the nib? So if it's through the nib and you wanted to, let's say, fully clean out the nib and feed, you would then take out the nib and feed by pulling out straight out of the section here. This is a friction fit nib and ebonite feed. So then you would put the nib down on the crook of your forefinger, put the thumb over the feed, and then just gently pull, kind of wiggling it just a little bit to get it going here. But then it comes right out. What I'd want to do is, before you're pulling it out, or while you have the nib and feed together, is just notice where the position of the tip of the wing is in relation to the fins of the feed. I will note that the point of which that the wing kind of comes inward again is around the third slot here, the third fin of the feed. So that way you could just be able to take apart both of these here, clean them out together, and then put them back the same way that it was configured initially. So these take a little bit more care to put back together, because there is no guiding slot or anything that kind of prevents the nib from being put incorrectly into the pen. So you could accidentally put the nib and feed so that it's way too far off, or you could put them where it's too close together, and may cause some inconsistencies in writing. So that's why you would want to make sure where the nib and feed are positioned relative to when you took the nib and feed out. So then what we're going to do is then unscrew the blind cap to access the piston mechanism. And just like with the Momento Magico, which we did a disassembly video on, you would want to find the two notches that are on either side of this piston mechanism ring here. And then you have your Leonardo Officina Italiana Piston Removal Tool, which has two little teeth that then would fit into those slots that are there. So then what we'll do is we'll just fit it over the mechanism. Just make sure it's extended out all the way here. Fit it over the mechanism that's here. Have the teeth find the slots here, and then we're going to screw the blind cap down. So that's all one solid piece now. It doesn't want to come out. And then we're going to turn it so that the wrench is going counterclockwise, or you could just twist the barrel, whichever you prefer. I usually like doing the barrel, it's fine. And then you would twist it open until the threads on the inside disengage with the threads of the piston mechanism, and then just gently pull. So now we have the piston mechanism completely free here. Then you would go to town and be able to clean through the entire barrel that's here, rinse it all out. Use pen flush if you need to, if you find that there's some issues with staining. But here you have a pretty clear shot throughout the entire barrel, and then you would be able to put everything back together again once you're done. A little word of note would be maybe considering putting some silicone grease on this piston head that's right here. That way it just helps with the overall function of the piston mechanism. It's a bit more smoother that way as well. So we're just going to fit it back in, and then we're going to screw this back in here, turning the piston wrench clockwise now until we get a firm fit that's there. And then we're going to open the blind cap so that we can remove the piston tool. Just go back and forth with the piston mechanism just to see if everything's working fine that way, and it is. So we'll just screw it so the blind cap is flush with the barrel. Then for the moderately tricky part of just putting the nib and feed back together, so we're just going to line it up. I'm going to find where that third fin is here. And then what I want to do is I want to pinch the nib and feed more towards the back end. And the reason being is that in order to fit it back into the section here, you want it to fit at the same exact time. So this really makes it nice and flush so that it will fit in at the same time and it won't push the nib up when you're trying to fit the feed back in. But then what I'll also do too is I'll look for the imprinting on the barrel where Leonardo engraves the barrel here, and then I want to line it up, because that's how they usually come, is that they are lined up with the nib and feed, so that the face of the nib is on the same side as it's fully aligned with the imprinting on the barrel. And then we're just going to fit that back in. Just making sure too is that just everything is in alignment as it should. And we screw our cap back on. So there you have it. That's how you disassemble and reassemble a Leonardo Officina Italiana Momento Zero Grande Pura. Thank you for watching, and stay inky, my friends. Take care.